What's good, family? It's me, Coach 67 Sports TV. Shout out to the awesome and amazing LDBC, Lions Den Broadcasting Community. Shout out to the Louisiana All-American Sports Network. Shout out to M Vision Photography and Video. And shout out to the greatest university in the world, the Southern University, home of the mighty Jaguars. In this particular live stream, I'm going to talk about my response to Trey Laing's comments of the previous live and just a modern, hypersensitive athlete. And I'm not even going to lie from the outset, this title is, I'm not going to lie, it's a little bit of clickbait because for individuals that know me, I'm not really into all the drama in the whole nine. So this title is a little bit of a clickbait for myself. But shout out to Willie Bolden. Big salute to you. Shout out Willie Bolden. But individuals that know me, they know that, I'm not into the drama and the beefing and that type of thing. This is not what this is. This is what I would tell the students in my class, players on my team. This is a teachable moment. And more than anything, that's what I see this is this being a teachable moment. Now, for those individuals that caught the live stream early this week, the interesting case of Trey Laing, that was like the first live stream in a series of live streams where I talk about this modern, new day, like Wild Wild West version of college football where players could kind of jump into the transfer portal willy-nilly. We have NIL money and a couple instances players are promised NIL money, they never receive it. The NIL money is the sole determining factor in whether they transfer from one institution to another. But when it came to Trey Laing, truthfully speaking, I was never really critical of him. And when he was at Southern, when he came to Southern, his long year at Southern as a starter, I think he was a solid player. If I was to give him a grade, I would say he was either a C+ to a B-. I felt like he was a solid player. And then he had a very good spring game. If I had to grade his spring game, I would give it an A. And he used that as a launching pad to transfer to Indiana University. And, my channel and my platform, I have a little more than 700 subscribers. And I have built this channel step by step, brick by brick. And even though I only have 700 subscribers, I'm grateful for that. Even though this is not my ultimate goal, just to have 700 subscribers. My goal is to be much bigger and much larger. However, I have a platform and I have an opinion. And I didn't attack Trey Laing personally. I just gave my opinion for what would have been best for him, not overall personally, but just from a football standpoint. And Reuben Hogan said, I don't think he used the spring game as a launching pad. He could have left without the spring game with what great fall he had. I think it was a good fall. I don't think it was a great fall, Reuben Hogan. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, I could be wrong. You could be right, or vice versa. I think he had a good season. I think he had a great spring game. That's just my personal opinion. And I think the way things played out, I think he was kind of slated to be the next Jordan Lewis. And what I mean by that is I think Jordan Lewis had a drop-off his senior year because I don't think Jordan Lewis was a legitimate defensive end. I think Jordan Lewis was more of a 3-4 outside linebacker that was a very good pass rusher. And you could let him rush the passer and blitz the passer in those situations, but having him put his hand in the dirt and be a defensive end, playing and play out with individuals that were athletic offensive tackles in the swag that were able to slide their feet and move their feet and keep Jordan Lewis in front of him. I think Jordan Lewis struggled with that. But I think Trey Laing was slated to kind of be the next Jordan Lewis, in my personal opinion. So he said, regardless of the spring game didn't matter. Keep in mind, his D-line coach who recruited him left. Yeah, I mean, I understand that. And you got to realize, that was part of the reason why, Jordan Lewis considered jumping in the transfer portal. And that's the reason why a lot of guys jump in the transfer portal. Many instances, the player that brought him to Southern University or pick any other university of your choice, in many instances, those individuals are no longer there. And that's kind of like the catalyst for them leaving. But I'm just talking about from an on-the-field standpoint. But I think you make a valid point. In many instances, the person that brings you to that particular institution is no longer there. And as a result, they leave and they decide to go elsewhere. But even with that being said, it ain't really like a beef thing. It's just kind of more my response, and the first comment, and I'm not going to lie, out of a smaller channel, to me, for him to find my live stream about him, either he had to kind of Google search his name, search his name in YouTube. But I mean, either way, it is what it is. And his first comment was like, "You talking behind the screen, telling me what's best for me and my family. You don't know anything about me." And that's the point. Like, I don't know you personally, so it's not a personal attack. From my perspective, and you got to realize, I've been watching Southern University football for 40 years. I've seen players like Jermaine Sharp transfer from LSU to Southern. I've seen players like Michael Hayes transfer from LSU to Southern. I've seen players transfer from Power 5 schools to SWAC schools, or Power 5 schools to Southern in particular. And rarely you see the person from a SWAC school transfer up to a Power 5 and PWI, and even instances where you got somebody like Junior Joseph before. He was the last player to transfer from LSU to Southern prior to Nick Saban blocking LSU players from transferring from LSU to Southern. And even Junior Joseph, he really didn't do much at Southern. Not the way many people anticipated him, like being a good wide receiver at Southern, and he just kind of fizzled out, and he really didn't do much. But even with that being said, I don't know him personally, so it wasn't no personal attack. It was just me giving my own personal opinion in terms of not what was best for him and his family overall, like he said. It was my opinion on what was best for his playing career. And truthfully speaking, like I said earlier, I think he kind of was slated to be the next Jordan Lewis, somebody that could play linebacker, and not only that, but in pass rushing situations, put his hand in the dirt, be an undersized defensive end. And I mean, he showed that he was a good pass rusher in the spring game. And that was going to translate over to the next season. And what ended up happening was, because Kelby Givens had a great spring game, and so did Trey Laing. And the previous season, Taj Brown had made second-team All-SWAC and nose guard. So once Trey Laing left, they ended up moving Taj Brown. They ended up kicking him out from nose guard to defensive end. And Kelby Givens, who had already had a great spring game. So now they ended up being your two defensive ends. And Kelby Givens got off, and he ended up being All-SWAC. And Taj Brown ended up making second-team All-SWAC again. So Kelby Givens made first-team All-SWAC. And Taj Brown ended up being second-team All-SWAC. So, me giving my personal opinion now and my assessment based on what I saw at Southern all the years I've been watching Southern, simply for what was on the field. I'm not talking, but if a team came out the blue and gave him $1 million worth of NIL money, I'm not saying he did or he didn't. But if that's what transpired, then more power to him. That was in his best personal interest. I'm talking about merely on the field. And in the previous live stream, I read off all the stats for every year he played. And once he left Southern, like, the page kind of go blank. So at the end of the day, he's saying, like, hey, I'm sitting behind the screen and I don't know him. I don't know nothing but him. And I'm trying to tell him what was best for him and his family. No, I'm not telling you what was best for you and your family. I'm giving my opinion as an individual with a platform that's basically saying, as your playing career, you were slated to be the next Jordan Lewis. but he hit the transfer portal. And then his response to what I said, because my response to what he was saying is basically, I'm like, yeah, you had a good season at Southern, a decent to good season, and you had a great spring game, and then you left and went to Indy. And that's the thing about it. When he left and went to Indy, I wished him well. And then after that, he went to Indy, and he didn't do nothing. And then he transferred to Eastern Michigan after that. And then he was like, I should do my homework. He got hurt at Indy. All right, cool. But guess what? I don't cover Indiana, University of Indiana. I cover Southern University. So it really don't matter to me at that point. So at the end of the day, it's like, it's kind of much to do about nothing. And then after that, I reached out to him, and I'm like, look, hey, if you want to come on my platform and tell your side of the story, even that wasn't going to sway me and change my mind, because I know what I know. But, the conversation kind of ended after that. But to me, he kind of came across as one of these modern day hypersensitive athletes like Kevin Durant. Just think about it. Kevin Durant is one of the best NBA players in the world and are all-time great in terms of the NBA. He's definitely one of the best scorers in NBA history. And this dude has a burner account, so he can go back at people that criticizes him on social media. It's like, come on, man, like, how petty could you be? Or even you got somebody like LeBron James, who Brian Windhorst has kind of followed this dude all the way from high school, all the way up through his entire NBA career. And then, hey, you don't like something Brian Windhorst says, and you throw Brian Windhorst under the bus. Or even somebody like Ben Simmons, who was a very good NBA player. I think he had the potential to be all NBA. And you have one bad playoff series against the Atlanta Hawks. And essentially, you can't handle the criticism that Doc Rivers and that the fans give you. And essentially, you melt down, and he hasn't really been the same NBA player since. So at the end of the day, it's like modern day athletes, Trey Laing included, like, they're hypersensitive. They have thin skin. And I mean, when I say players from the 80s and 90s were tougher players, I don't mean not only physically, but I mean mentally also. And they had thicker skin. Those players in that day, they had thick skin to me. And I think today's modern day hypersensitive athlete, like, they really can't take constructive criticism, because truthfully speaking, the players that really should have been upset with the kind of criticism I gave from Southern are really players like Bashawn McCray and Harold Blood and Noah Barton. Like, I really gave them guys the business. If anything, all I did was praise Trey Laing about the way he played. The only thing that I was critical of, I felt like it would have been best for his playing career had he stayed at Southern. And, I kind of read off what he said in the comment section. But at the end of the day, it kind of is what it is. I think it's a teachable moment. I just kind of feel like modern day athletes are hypersensitive, and, it kind of is what it is. But like I said, I planned on being here for a good time, not a long time. I'm coming back a little bit later with another live stream, but I have to kind of go take care of some business. But major shout out to everybody that dropped through, show some love. To my brother Willie Bolden, salute to you. Reuben Hogan, he made some excellent points, especially what he was saying that the person that recruited Trey Laing, that got Trey Laing to Southern, ended up leaving. That was an excellent point. But I think he kind of had a good season. I felt like, and like I said, that was an excellent point that Reuben Hogan made. But I think, in my personal opinion, I think he kind of used a spring game as like a launching pad to kind of, go on the greener pastures. And that was his personal choice, you know what I'm saying? And salute, major salute to Desmond Allen. He said Trey should have stayed at Southern. And that was my point, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't me, attacking him personally. It just was more of, like, dude, if you look at what you did at Southern and then what you did after you left Southern, I think him staying at Southern, I'm not talking about NIL or anything else. I'm just talking about on the field. I think that was best for his playing career. And the fact that, he took offense with that. To me, at the end of the day, like, look, hey, that's my personal opinion. I have a platform. That's my opinion. It is what it is. So it ain't nothing but no beef and no back and forth. That's just my opinion. And for him to find this live stream about him from earlier this week, to me, it kind of almost feel like, yeah, dude, you had to go out your way to find out. But it is what it is, you know. And Big Reg hosts a Big Boy Talk. Salute to him. He said, salute, coach, coming through to show some love. Man, I appreciate you, Big Reg. And my brother, Jared 11 Green, we did a live stream earlier, you know, talking about Vince McMahon versus P. Diddy in a ridiculous double standard, you know, when it comes to, you know, black versus white in sports and in media, so on and so forth. And not only that, but we had a live stream yesterday talking about, you know, the whole Booker T versus Swerve Strickland thing. So go to my brother Jared 11 Green and check his channel out. Desmond Allen, he said, I know, bro, shaking my head. You praise him, and he made great points. And that's the thing about it. It wasn't like it was like a personal attack on Trey Laing, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, it kind of is what it is. And like I said, go over and check out Big Reg, Big Boy Talk. I'm not gonna lie, he has a good platform. I think both him and my brother Jared 11 Green, they should have way more subscribers than they have on their respective channels. So y'all go check out Big Reg on his channel, my brother Jared 11 Green on his channel. I'm getting ready to shut it down. Shout out to everybody that dropped through, that came in, that showed some love. Also, shout out to my beloved sister, the Queen Shower. Go check out. I have her channel pinned in the post section of my channel. Go check her out. She does great boxing content, great boxing talk. Also, go check out my brother Brent Fox on his channel with his show. It's just me starring Brent Fox. He's sporadic with his live streams and his shorts. You know, he has a busy life. Life be lifing for him, but he still does find time to drop shorts. So go to my brother Brent Fox channel, check him out. Also, go check out my brother Growing with Soul, formerly known as Soul Power, aka Gamed Up Kennels. Go check out my brother Growing with Soul. He does a great job talking about, you know, dog talk, just grown man bars, grown man conversation, and growing plants and that type of thing. So if you have a green thumb, go over and check out my brother Growing with Soul. Also, go check out my brother Supreme Beast Boxing Talk, Cadillac Red, on his channel, Supreme Beast Boxing Talk. Go over and check him out. And go check out my brother 7A Sports TV, the leader of this awesome, amazing, and phenomenal organization. He has two channels. His primary channel is 7A Sports TV. His backup channel is the No Thrill Full Show. He getting ready to go live at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Him and a brother, Blu-ray Fitness. So go over to their channel, check them out. I'm probably going to come back later on tonight. I have some transfer portal news for Southern University fans. Two Southern University players have entered the transfer portal. More than likely, y'all probably already know who they are, but I'm going to do live streams on those respective players, and I'm also going to have some boxing talk for my LDBC family members. Also, one other thing, too, we talked about it for my LDBC family members that's in the LDBC with the blessings of the general. We getting ready to start a LDBC Facebook group. So y'all come over and y'all check us out, especially for, you know, content creators like myself that's growing their platform. You know, it's a place for you to, you know, to drop your, you know, your live streams or your videos or whatever the case may be to help grow your platform and grow your channel. I'll catch y'all on a rebound. Y'all have a blessed and phenomenal Sunday evening. I'm definitely coming back with a lot more Southern University content. Even though I thought it would slow up since the spring game getting ready to come up, things starting to ramp up. So I got a lot more content I want to drop. I'll catch y'all on the rebound. Y'all have a blessed and phenomenal evening. Peace and blessings. And go Jags.